All right, so what we did today, the groups were broken up by a quiz that we did yesterday. I took the results. It was on graphing using slope-intercept form, graphing from standard form using changing it to slope-intercept, and finding the x and y intercepts. And I also did. It also had slope on it as well. The students were grouped together based on how they did on that quiz. I took the ones that made the same common mistakes and put them together. That way, when we differentiated in the groups, we could focus on each group's individual needs. And the needs varied between the groups as well, but each group was broken up. We had groups that were better with graphing. We had groups that were better with the slope. In my group that focused mostly on slope, the stronger group, we focused more on finding a missing coordinate within the slope because they understood the slope formula a little better. They understood how to find it from a graph. So we didn't even have to bother with the graphing part. We just went straight into the slope formula, and then we went straight into finding a missing coordinate using that. From that, the second group, or the medium group, they had a little struggle with the graph, so they needed to see the graph again. They also needed the formula, and they needed to find the missing coordinate. And they were kind of in the middle on all three. So they were able to get exposed to all three and, hopefully achieve a little more mastery on that. And then the final group, the weaker group, which is actually the group that started with me, they struggled with looking at it from a graph. All right, do we have any questions from the warm-up? All good? Okay. So, you got your rotation paper in front of you. You know where you're going to go. You smile. All right. We're going to do our usual rotation, 20 minutes piece. In the class, we'll have a ticket out the door. You should be able to do everything on it. Any questions before we get started? If your venue's messed up, what are you going to do when you get to Alex? Grab an Alex sheet. Very good. All right, let's go. Which point do we always start? One on the left. Okay. So now, a few of them, what I noticed yesterday, what a few of them did. What do we know about that graph? Number one, before we do anything, it's negative. We're going down, so it's got to be negative. Several of us, what we did yesterday is we counted. We did everything right. We counted. But we didn't put negative. We got down here, and like our answer would have been 2/4. A few of us forgot to reduce, because that would have been 1/2. A few of us forgot to put negative. So now let's fix that today. So we start with the one on the left. If I'm on the left, which way do I have to go? Am I going up or down to start?
Down.
I'm going down to start. So let's go down, right? How far down do we need to go?
-3.
Yeah. Right, so we're going down. So our answer is going to be -3. Now, before we start number 2, first thing we want to look at is positive, negative, undefined, or 0. What do we have?
Negative.
Okay, I heard positive and I heard negative.
Solve it for y. So the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to subtract
And then I'm going to go from here.
8x from both sides.
All right, so what did we get? How many did I have? I think 0.
I mean, it would really be no other company.
Everybody got that? That makes sense?
Straight.
So
If
remember,
it'd be that number.
It's actually kind of fun because like the whole rotation is easier for you to learn, and it's like it's quicker for you to like get a hold to it. So I like it better that way. It's fun.
using the formula. So somebody tell me, what's that formula for slope?
Sometimes, number 7. Sometimes it's really 7 and 8. Sometimes it's really easy to cover the number up with your finger, right?
Right.
If I'm given, sometimes you might have to do what's the slope. If I said,
And just generic points, A and B. A is X1, Y1, because that's the first set of X and Y that we have. And B is
incorrect.
X2, Y2.
Okay? So the easiest way to
My
graph a
slope
line
is going to be found using the formula. Now, what we need to work on
You have to graph a line. What's the easiest for the graph?
is making sure we understand what exactly, it's kind of a rough
Okay.
sketch.
So what do we need to do to get, we're solving.
Just make sure that we get that sketched in.
Now, first, we're solving one.
And you left
out your heads. 3 houses.
X, positive.
It's quicker and you can actually have one-on-one with a teacher instead of like being by yourself doing the work.
All right, here we go. No standing there. It's almost Friday. Alright. So, one thing that I kind of noticed here was
Last group.
we had a little bit of an issue with our finding the slope from the graph.
We're graphing 3 different ways.
A few of us, we
First, we're gonna
We got
we got the line next to it.
rise over run right. We figured out how high we went or how low.
Last way.
Figured out how far.
Substitute in the zeros.
But what ended up happening was, like if we look at number 1, is that going to be a positive slope or negative slope? It's going to be a positive slope. Right. And then if we look at number 2, what would that be? That would be a negative slope. Well, one thing that we had is a few of us, we've had a few mistakes where we just miscounted. Had a few mistakes where we counted it right, but we forgot to simplify. Remember, I want the smallest fraction we can get. What's the smallest even? Well, other than 2. What's the smallest even? 2. So what can come out of 2? So negative 2 divided by.
What is that? What's that mean?
All right, so
Y-intercept, right?
Coach K, he helps us review on what we already know to make sure that we know it. And Coach Paul, he helps us review the things that we don't know and that we don't get. So Coach Paul teaches the hardest stuff.
I think the small group differentiation allows us to set the pace differently for each student or each group of students. We can individualize instruction for students or for a group. We can work at different paces and reinforce different concepts at different times to different students once they're struggling with different principles and theorems and stuff, as opposed to just giving the same lesson to everybody at the same time.